I find that in some memoir writing, there is a tendency amongst some writers, not everybody, but there's some, to want to provide a nice concluding statement to a specific scene. It reminds me of academic writing. If you write an academic paper, an essay, you want to have a nice conclusion on it that sums up the whole paper, that kind of thing. But in memoir writing, we want to avoid telling people how to see the scene that they've just written. And so here's an example from a client of mine who had written a wonderful scene about school and an exam that he had to do. He was late for the exam, and he had to talk to the teacher about letting him do it. And it took place actually in Africa, so it was just a wonderful scene of the school and the teacher and that kind of thing. And right at the end, the author writes, "Despite the challenges, I completed my exam, submitting my paper to the teacher's office." Fine. Concluding point. That's the end of the action, as we could say. But then he tacked on this line, and there was another line that I didn't include, but as I left the classroom, I reflected on the lessons learned that day. And then the next line after that was a bunch of very abstract lessons that he had learned, and how he saw the challenge of getting to school and coming late and then trying to get the teacher to let him write the exam. And I felt like there was too much of a lessons learned kind of statement at the end. And really you want to leave the lesson up to the reader. What does the reader think my scene is all about? And that opens up interpretation. You want to have your readers being able to read your work, read your memoir, and come up with their own ideas about what it means. What are the lessons out of your memoir? Don't tell them. Don't close scenes by trying to tell them what the lesson was or what the moral was or the point. Just leave it totally open to interpretation. And that way you're involving readers in your writing. You're letting the reader come up with their own conclusions. And that's fun. That's interesting. That's involving things. But when you overtell or over-explain a point and you want to tie it in a nice bow and say, this means X in some abstract sense, you're closing down the possible interpretations that readers can have of your writing.